This is page 224. Module 8 test review. I want to show you that we're going to skip two problems. We're going to go ahead and we're going to skip the problems that aren't pertinent to Module 8. We're going to skip numbers 2 and number 4, and I think we're going to try everything else. So let's check it out. Okay. All right, number 1 reads, what percent does this shaded grid represent? Well, this one's pretty simple because there's 100 squares here. So whatever is shaded is going to be out of 100. So we're just going to count by tens because these rows or these columns are 10 each. 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2. 42 hundredths. 42 hundredths is equal to 42%. The answer is going to be A. Let's move on. Number 2 is not helpful for the test. Number 3 is. Number 3 reads, approximately 4/5 of U.S. homeowners have a cell phone. What percent of homeowners do not have a cell phone? So what we want to recognize here is that if 4/5 of the homeowners do have a cell phone, then 1/5 do not. And so we're going to try to figure out what's 1/5. Well, 1/5 of 100 is going to be, I'm going to multiply by 20. And the reason why I'm going to multiply by 20 is because 5 times 20 is 100. And 1 times 20 is 20. It's going to be 20%. 20% of U.S. homeowners don't have a cell phone. It's going to be A again. All right, we are going to skip number 4 because it's not helpful to the test review. So let's go ahead to number 5. I need a whiteboard for this one. Number 5 reads, Gabriel saves 40% of his monthly paycheck for college. He earned $270 last month. How much money did Gabriel save for college? The other way to say this is we need to figure out 40% of 270. 40% of 270, of can be multiplication. And so what I can do on this one is I can do 270 times 0.40. You can actually do this one mentally too, because 40% is just the 10% method. So, and actually I'd really probably prefer that. The 10% method means, let me show you that way actually. This way works too, they both work. I'm going to do it this way. 10% of 270 is 27. 10% just means a tenth. And so what you do on a number like this that ends in a 0 is you just take the 0 off. If 10% of 270 is 27, now I need to multiply by 4 to get 40%. So if you do 10% times 4, you also need to do 27 times 4. And I can pretty much do that mentally. 27 times 2 would be 54, and 54 times 2 would be 108. The answer is 108. Like I showed you at the beginning, the other way you could solve this one was you could do 270 times 0.40. You get the same answer there. All right, let's move on. Number 6. Number 6 reads, 40 children from an after-school club went to the matinee. This is 25% of the children in the club. How many children are in the club? So 40 kids. This one could be reworded. We've been doing problems like this. This one could be reworded as 40 kids is 25%. I should write is, not equals. 40 kids is 25% of, I don't know. 40 is the is word. The total number of the kids in the club is we don't know, and that is equal to 25%. 25% is the same as 25 hundredths. Now, what do we do? Well, 25 doesn't evenly go into 40, so I'm going to simplify by 5. And I'm going to get 5 20ths. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize that to get from 5 to 40, I would multiply by 8. And I'm going to just draw an arrow. 5 times 8 right here is 40. So I need to multiply 20 times 8, and that's going to be my unknown number. 2 times 8 is 16, so therefore 20 times 8 is 160. The answer is B. All right, let's move on. On number 7. Number 7 reads, Dominic answered 43 of the 50 questions on his spelling test correctly. So that would look like this, 43 out of 50. Which decimal represents the fraction of the problems he answered correctly? Well, when we're talking about decimals, it's kind of like a percent. We really need it to be out of 100. So I'm going to multiply by 2. I'm going to get 100. I'm going to get 86. Now, if you say, Mr. Smith, you misread the question because we weren't supposed to figure out the fraction. I know, we're supposed to find the decimal, but the names of the decimal places, the first one is the tenths and the second one is the hundredths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 0 point, and I've got an 86 in the hundredths place. So I've got my answer. If 86 over 100 is the fraction, 86 in the hundredths would be the decimal. The answer is C. All right, let's do number 8. Number 8 reads, Jen bought some sesame bagels and some plain bagels. The ratio of the number of sesame bagels to the number of plain bagels is 1 to 3. So the sesame bagels to the plain bagels. And the sesame bagels are 1 and the plain bagels are 3. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking this information, the ratio of the number of sesame bagels to the number of plain bagels is 1 to 3. And I'm putting it in a fraction. And then it says what fraction of the bagels are plain. Well, this right here kind of looks like a fraction, but it's not 1 out of 3. Because it's actually how many plain bagels are there. Well, I'm going to draw a picture. 1 sesame bagel would look like this. And 3 plain bagels would look like this. Well, how many bagels is that? It's 4. So how many total bagels are there? There's 4. And how many of them are plain? 3 of them. So the answer to A is 3/4. Question B says, what percent of the bagels are plain? Well, what percent is 3/4? We've memorized this one. 3/4 is equal to 75%. All right, question C reads, if Jill bought 2 dozen bagels, how many of each type of bagel did she buy? Well, how much is 2 dozen? 2 dozen is 2 times 12. 1 dozen is 12, so 2 dozen is 2 times 12, that's 24. What do I need to do with these numbers right here to make them become 24? Well, right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So what would you need to multiply? You need to multiply by 6. 4 times 6 is 24. So if I do this times 6, it would be a total of 6. And if I do this times 6, it would be a total of 18. So I'm going to have 6 sesame and 18 plain. All right. Good job. You're done with page 224. You're ready for the Module 8 test. Good luck.